There are many different ways to show decimals. If we were, for example, to look at the decimal 4.076, traditionally that's the way that we would name it. Using math language, the way that we would name this decimal is to state the whole number, 4. The decimal point becomes the word and then we name the decimal part of the number 76 with its place, which is told by the digit furthest right of the decimal point, and that is in the thousandths place. So the number 4.076 is equal to 4 and 76 thousandths. If we were to write this number as a fraction or a mixed number, so a mixed number is a combination of a whole number with a fraction. So writing this number as a fraction, again, if we say the number properly, 4 and 76 thousandths, it would look like this. 4, and there's a little plus sign in there that we drop out, 76 over 1,000. 4 and 76 thousandths. So these two numbers, 4.076 and 4 and 76 over 1,000, represent exactly the same amount. Using expanded form, there's a couple of different ways that we can write this. Expanded form tells the value of each digit. So we start one digit at a time. 4 ones plus 0 tenths plus 7 hundredths plus 6 thousandths. That's one way we can write expanded form. Another way we can write expanded form is by using the value of each digit with words and telling its place. So for example, we would write 4 ones plus 0 tenths. And again, we could leave out the tenths because 0 tenths represents nothing. Plus 7 hundredths plus 6 thousandths. And be careful that you get the THS at the end because it's very different than hundreds and thousandths. Another way to show decimals is by using a number line. So if we were to look at, again, the number 4 and 76 thousandths, how do we identify that on the number line? So one of the things that we think about, first of all, is we're fairly familiar with whole numbers. So if we take a look at the ones place, which is the 4, then we know that this number has to be a little bit more than 4 because it's 4 with some extra stuff here, but it's not quite 5. So if I'm going to create my number line, I can start at one end with the whole number 4 and end with the whole number 5. My benchmark is halfway in between, and I always like to put my benchmark halfway in because it helps me orient myself and also to label the other tick marks. The other thing I like to do when I'm dealing with decimals is make sure that I have the same number of digits to the right of the decimal point in all of my numbers. So I add zeros if I need to. It makes it a little easier for me to see what each line represents. So if this line is 4.10 and this is 4.5, each of these sections, and there are 10 sections, so I've divided 4 and 5 into 10 equal parts, and they are called tenths. So this is 4 and 1 tenth, 4 and 2 tenths, 4 and 3 tenths, 4 and 4 tenths, 4 and 5 tenths, and so on, 4 and 9 tenths, up to 4 and 10 tenths, which is equivalent to 5. So if I go back to my number, now I have a little bit better idea where 4.076 is, but I still don't know exactly where it goes. I do know, however, that it's going to be between 4.0 and 4.1. So if we haven't figured that out, then you need to think about how to relate your numbers to other numbers. So 4.076 is in between 4.0 and 4.1, which means it's in this tiny little space here. Well, I can't see that very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to put 4.0 on one end, and I'm going to take this other 4.1, and I'm going to, zoom in and make this one 4.1. So now what I can do is go halfway between 4.0 and 4.1, which is a little bit tricky to figure out. So I might add a 0 to help myself out, because now I can see it's 4.00 and 4.10. Halfway between 0 and 10 is 5, so 4.05. So now I'm counting actually by hundredths. So this is 4 and 0 hundredths, 4 and 1 hundredth, 4 and 2 hundredths, 4 and 3 hundredths, 4 and 4 hundredths, 4 and 5 hundredths, and so on, 4 and 9 hundredths to 4 and 10 hundredths. Which means then, if I go back to my number, now I'm at 4.076. Well, 4.07, this is 4.05, 4.06, 4.07 is here. 4.08 is here. So where is 4.06? It's going to be in between these two. So again, it's going to be in this little space here. Can't see it, so what I'm going to do is zoom in again. And I'm going to take 4.07 and 4.08, and I'm going to make those my new end marks. Oops. Now what's halfway between 4.07 and 4.08? Again, it helps me if I look at this as 70 and 80, comparing the same number of decimal points, because I know halfway between 70 and 80 is 75. So I know that my digits before stay the same. 4.075 is halfway in between. So now I've got 4.07, 4.071, 4.072, 4.073, 4.074, 4.075, 4.076. I've found it. 4.076 will be located exactly here. Now, if I had a number going further than that, say to the 10,000th place, then I could zoom out even further. So this is just one way of looking at how to identify decimals on a number line. There are a couple more ways that we can show decimals, and you may be able to think of some ways even beyond the 6 that I've shown you. But another way is to use a hundreds chart, and we can place our digits, 4 and 76 thousandths. And we place each digit in the proper place. The sixth way is to sketch using base 10 blocks, and what we've done is we've redefined our original thousands block, which is here. We used to call this the thousand, and we used to call this little one here the 1. But what we did, again, is we zoomed in and we enlarged the 1 so that we could actually see fractions of that number. So 1 block represents 1 whole, the old thousands block. A flat represents 1/10. A rod represents 1/100th, and our old unit, or our old 1, represents 1/1000th, because we're comparing this to the original large block. And we know that we can also write decimals as fractions as well. So if I were to represent my number 4.06 using base 10 blocks, a little shortcut is you can draw one block, use your multiplication sign, and tell how many of your ones you would have. And in this case, I have 4 ones, so that would be times 4. I have 0/10ths, so I don't need tenths, or I could put times 0. Hundredths, I have 7, as you can see here. And thousandths, I have 6. So again, I've now shown you 6 different ways to show the same decimal, 4.076. I hope this helps.